Hi everyone, this is Chris from The Bar Above, and today we're going to re-examine an old post on juice clarification and show you some of the new techniques we've adapted over the last couple months. So stay tuned. So if you watched the previous video on juice clarification, you'll remember that we ran the experiment 3 different times. The reasoning for that was the very first time was kind of our first run through it. The second time we weren't really happy with the results. And the third time we kind of learned a lot along the way, and we found a really cool technique on getting the best product and the best yield out of kind of what we put into it. So during the last video we actually asked a couple different questions and had a couple of ideas on how to improve the process. One of the things I'd like to do in the future is to take away as many of the variables as possible with the clarification of lime juice. So the first one that comes to mind is actually that last process when you're squeezing the lime juice through cheesecloth. You know, there's a lot of variables involved there, how much pressure to apply, how long. It's hard to replicate those kind of things every single time. So the first thing that comes to mind is actually putting cheesecloth in a perforated hotel pan, putting your lime curds above the top of it, putting a baking sheet on top of that, and putting a predetermined amount of weight on top. So that way it takes away the variables of how much pressure to apply. Not only that, but it enables you to do something better with your time than to squeeze the lime juice through the cheesecloth. So what we've done is we actually have implemented those ideas, and we're really excited about the results.
So what we've done up to this point is that we've prepared the lime curds in the exact same way they gave us the best results in the previous video. One of the other tips that we have for you is if you pre-moisten the linen or cheesecloth before you start to press the lime curds, it actually results in a higher yield of clarified lime juice. So here you can see our setup for this experiment, where we have a hotel pan at the very bottom. Our perforated hotel pan is actually in the center, and then we have another hotel pan on top to apply pressure that we can add ice and water in.
So at the very beginning of running this experiment, I added a very little bit of ice and water to the top hotel pan to apply pressure. Something I noticed immediately is that that cold water sitting on top of the agar was actually solidifying the agar below it. So I'd let it sit for a couple minutes and apply a little bit more pressure by adding more water and more ice. This in turn would chill that agar solution down even more. And I let this experiment run for about an hour, and at the very end the entire hotel pan was full of ice and full of water, and as a result the agar solution below it was as firm as a brick. It was really hard, and there was a lot of benefit out of this technique. First of all, the product that came out of it was much clearer than anything I've used so far. The second thing is that it freed up my time to go do something else. So there's a couple things that are really going to help us out on the bar and restaurant side if this is a technique that we want to utilize. First of all, we don't have to get so hands-on and dedicate so much time to making this product. The next thing is that we can do this in a much bigger yield and step away from it. I remember when I first ran the experiment, I was limited to very small amounts of lime juice extraction, and it wasn't realistic to do that. Just because the yield was so small in comparison to the amount of effort. For this one, I actually ran an entire quart of lime juice at once. I stepped away from it and I came back, and it was the best product I've made so far. So that's really exciting and addresses one of the big concerns I had with this technique. The other thing is that this is a technique now that you can walk away from and be assured that it's going to do its job correctly. You know, you're not going to have to sit there and get hands-on with this product and extract the clarified lime juice and hope that the agar solution doesn't go through. One of the thoughts I have now is that when you're massaging the sac, as David Arnold likes to call it, a lot of the thermal energy from your hand is actually going into the agar. It's going to be warming it up slightly, and that might contribute to some of the agar kind of making its way through that cheesecloth and into your clarified lime juice. The next benefit for us is that we don't have to face that ridicule of all of our comrades watching us do this technique and making all the off-color jokes that come along with it. I will say that this technique did not address a couple of the other concerns I have with clarified lime juice, mainly the fall off on acidity and the lack of aroma with the final product. Now these will be things that we address in the future and come back to, But until then, I hope you guys have a great shift, and cheers. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, find us on Google+, or visit us at abarabove.com.